So how much muscle can you build naturally? What things would you look at to determine what your potential is? And there has been research done on this area. So the first thing is they've found that a higher birth rate is a good predictor of your actual muscle building potential. So if you were a heavier baby, then you are more likely to be able to grow more muscle when you're an adult. And if you were a very small baby, then you were less likely to be able to build more muscle when you're an adult. So this is quite interesting. This is statistics, this is research. So yeah, it doesn't mean you can't, but it means likelihood. Other factors include people who started their 12-week training program with a higher fat-free mass. So basically with more muscle weight at the start of training are more likely to build more muscle by the end of a 12-week training program. Whereas people who were less muscular overall are less likely to gain as much muscle overall. So if someone starts muscular, they'll get even more muscular. Again, on average, it doesn't mean that everyone this would apply to. There are some people who just seem to change body type quite convincingly, but this is something, again, which research shows. Another one is larger joints. So basically, larger joints determine more muscle building potential. And this is therefore looking at, a lot of people talk about wrist size, ankle size, but obviously it determines by, the whole skeleton really. So basically the bigger the skeleton, the bigger the joints, then the bigger the muscles on that, because there's more joint to control and things. So again, the more likely you can build more muscle with that as well. So if you've got big thick wrists and big thick ankles, then you probably have a good chance of building muscle. Whereas if you're like me with tiny little wrists and I get watches and I have to take a million links out of them to get them to fit, then there is less chance of building good muscle. But again, not 100% likely to not be possible, just generally less likely. Another one that was interesting is they looked at powerlifters, and they found that powerlifters who had a higher fat-free mass amount had wider frames. So this also tallies into that frame element. So they're looking at powerlifters. Obviously some powerlifters, aren't necessarily as muscular with the fat-free mass element, but some are. You see the odd powerlifter like Larry Wheels, who is pretty lean and carries a lot of muscle, but then you get other ones who are a bit weightier with body fat. And they found, again, the wider frame ones are the ones who have more muscle, generally. So again, that tallies into that. So yeah, so these are just like, interesting findings really, which they found on multiple studies, looking at, the elements of how much muscle you can build naturally. What are some of the factors that might determine how well you're going to do with this? Obviously, the biggest one of all, which none of these research papers conclude, is training well, training correctly, training properly, training with all the right elements. So if that's in place, then you give yourself the best chance. But in terms of knowing your maximum potentials, some of these elements do give you some insights into where you're going to be. But anyway, that's it for this one, and I'll see you next time.